Hey everybody, it's Friday. My name is still Kevin Murcko. This is still CoinMetro, and this is our weekly AMA. So, as the name suggests, you ask, I tell. Wait for people to start rolling in here. We're actually exactly on time this week. Amazing. We have another show later today with the CEO of Encryption, David Coepsel. That's going to be an interesting one. We did an AMA specifically about their token swap about 2-3 weeks ago. But this one's going to be more tied to their actual product, their marketplace, etc. Should be quite interesting. ATH, how are you? Rainman, how are you? Let me kill off a few things I got floating around here. Too many notifications. So guys, yeah, you have questions, ask them. Yep, same here. I just mentioned that. It should be a good talk, I think. The first little question and answer we had was about like I said, their token swap, but we ended up answering lots of questions about Encryption and their marketplace in general. So I expect it to be a good chat. We'll see how it goes. Offbeat Refrigerator asking when IBANs and debit cards. So discussed this a bit in the last couple of weeks. We were recently approved by the Bank of Lithuania under a sister company, another company owned by our parent entity, CoinMetro Group, called Digital Fiat, for a agent, EMI, agent license, electronic money issuance agent license that was passported then into Estonia. The Estonian FSA gave their approval roughly now, I think 1 week ago, or potentially 2 weeks ago at this point, I think. It'll be an official, we'll get the official kind of go ahead from the Bank of Lithuania on the 8th of March, by the 8th of March. Once that happens, we'll start to make a transition. All fiat incoming and outgoing transactions will go through digital fiat instead of CoinMetro. This is going to allow us to expand a lot of our banking networks and our merchant requiring networks, et cetera. And probably at some point in the future as well, especially on those credit card deposits. So that's one thing that will happen. At the same time, it's going to allow us to go after those debit cards and make the process easier than it would have been should we have gone through the process with our crypto entity. So normally with the crypto entity, we were waiting on our bank as a service provider to go ahead and change their policies so we could apply. That took a long time. But they had to change their policies because we are a crypto-related entity. Digital fiat is not crypto-related. Thus, the process should be quick, smooth, and we should be able to start as soon as March, if not April, and the process should be streamlined, 6 to 8 weeks card issuance. So we'll keep you updated on that. Read a question from somebody. When will ADA be listed? So ADA is on our short list, ADA, Cardano. Can't give you a specific date right now. I would say tag our friend Oliver in Telegram, ask him for a date, see if he can give you one. We're going to start putting together listings on a much more frequent basis. The process hasn't started yet. When it does, the goal is to have at least one listing every 2 weeks. When will XCM be Tram comparable? I guess you mean when you will be able to use XCM and Tram as collateral, I imagine. We are testing Tram collateral with one private Tram at the moment. I would expect that we will be able to do so with limitations sometime towards the end of March. First Reddit question, any comments on the resilience of XCM during the broader crypto price drop correction this week? Sure. So the more, I guess the more broader the market, the more susceptible to wider market moves it becomes in a market that's generally driven by retail and hype. So that would be the broader crypto market. Why? Well, our market really does rely heavily on community. It relies heavily on most of our XCM holders, which generally are active in the community. Thus, when the community is set to, not selling, the community doesn't sell. And so you do have some actors that will come in, some clients that will come in and they're buying and selling. And even some of our community members will buy and sell around specific prices to try and obviously generate some return. But overall, the community dictates the flow of that XCM price. to a big extent. That doesn't necessarily happen when you have something like Bitcoin, Ethereum, et cetera, or altcoins that have a wider spread, because those people don't interact with the community. They are simply looking at the broader crypto market and they make decisions based on the broader crypto market. So in that aspect, having a smaller pool, not necessarily of liquidity, but a smaller pool of influence is actually a good thing. When are we going to see substantial marketing? You got lots of cash now. We do have some cash. I wouldn't say we have lots of cash. Some of that cash hasn't in our bank accounts yet, and that'll happen later. Lots of that cash is going to be pushed toward that licensing pursuit, investment firm licensing, MTF permissions, CFDs, options, etc. We do have some cash for sure. We also need to expand the team greatly. We need to make changes within the team. Marketing is right now going through a transition period. We're going through some automation. We're bringing on tools to help us automate, to help us really refine how we do marketing, how we do client retention, how we do cross-selling. That process is going to be ongoing for the next 2 months. Once that process is complete, we will really start to push out more comprehensive marketing, though we've already started with ads in Europe on social media platforms, and we've already started with ads on Twitter, which is something we were trying to do for quite some time. So those are in test mode right now. But over the next 2 months, you're going to start to see a big change in how and where we market. Second Reddit question, wondering if we could get a little overview of the arguments of allowing XCM to be traded on other exchanges. So sure. Pros, potential more exposure. Potential. Probably more exposure, let's say. Potentially more liquidity. Potentially lots of fake liquidity. So potentially more legitimate liquidity. Cons. Fake liquidity is a con. The possibility that if we pursue listings on other exchanges, that at some point we have a regulatory issue, just like Ripple has right now with XRP. One of the complaints to Ripple in that lawsuit is that they actively went after listings and then market made on those listings, or worked with the exchanges to market make those listings to push price higher. And while all those accusations might not be true, the catalyst for those accusations is that Ripple sought to list their token on multiple exchanges. Now, we have a utility token where its only use currently is inside of the CoinMetro platform. Us pursuing listings outside of CoinMetro the regulator may look at that and ask, why is that needed if the only utility aspect of your utility token sits on your own platform? It would be like being able to go into, let's say, big box store A and buy points for big box store B that you then go and use. The only thing you can do with those points is to spend them for rewards at big box store. I forget if it was A or B now. I just totally screwed up my own example. Let's give some names. So let's say Tesco. I don't know. You go to Tesco. Tesco gives you reward points. But they also give you but also allow you to buy reward points for American Express, which then you can only use with American Express, but not necessarily with Tesco. Does that mean that it's a reward point? Is it now considered something more like a payment point? If it's a payment point, does it fall under regulation? Be the same thing here. So if there's no utility aspect to listing it, let's say on Binance, Huobi, Bitstamp, I would never list on Binance, but you get my point. Does that negate the utility aspect and put us more under payment token? And if we're a payment token, what other things are we doing that may affect the regulatory oversight of a payment token? And potentially, do we actually go from payment token to be a security at some point? I think there's way more cons. There's way more weight on the con side than there is on the pro side. I get why projects wanted to be listed at some point on multiple exchanges. And my argument not to do that in the beginning, apart from regulatory, was always because at what point do you go from, let's say, you have an illiquid asset by its very nature, and you spread that liquidity across multiple platforms, it becomes more illiquid and more volatile as a result. Now that we have more liquidity, that argument over time gets less and less, has less and less weight. It weighs less and less on a decision-making process. But it's still a reality. You have a relatively illiquid asset spread across multiple platforms. So anyway, I think the cons do outweigh the pros in this instance. Now, when exchanges are more highly regulated and there's a much clearer idea of what the separation is between utility, payment, et cetera, in terms of token types, my opinion may change. Third Reddit question, are there any upcoming competitions or opportunities to earn XCM? There will be. I can't really name any specific plans as of yet, but we are working on devising a kind of competition idea in order to where you'll be able to earn XCM. Also, staking is coming. Obviously, with staking, you can earn additional XCM as well. Do you think CM can ramp up marketing? Yes, and we will. I think I already described that in a question. We are in a, so I brought on a consultant, just to give you a little background. Brought on a consultant, a friend of mine that I've known for about 15 years, roughly. Met him while I was in Mexico. He was a programmer at the time. Helped me with a few websites that I was working on around that time. I helped a few friends of mine, helped a few people who are no longer friends of mine with websites that they were working on as well. Fantastic programmer, fantastic developer, and designer as well, to be fair. He went on over his career over the last 15 years to do lots of things. He settled into automation in marketing, automation in business processes, created companies where basically 90% automation, two guys running a company that were doing, tens and tens of millions in product sales, automating the entire flow, product flow, marketing flow, etc. And then started to go back into consulting, Silicon Valley businesses in Mexico, the US, other parts of the world about automation. So brought him in, and he's been helping us transition from a departmental structure to a team structure, bringing in OKRs, the whole Intel Google thing that helped them propel their business and grow their business. And at the same time, focusing now, after the first 4 weeks, now focusing in and honing in on marketing, bringing in tools that allow us to automate our marketing and get more into life cycle marketing, where we can bring clients when they come in, improve conversion, and then keep them in the life cycle, cross-selling them, giving them other opportunities, etc. The guy's really good at what he does, and within the next 2 months, we will finalize this process. And during those 2 months and after those 2 months, you're going to start to see more and more marketing and more different types of marketing coming out of the marketing team. We just started marketing on Twitter in Europe because we finally got approval to do so. Some test case right now, some test marketing right now, as well as other social media platforms in Europe. So yes, I guess the answer, we are and will. Happy Friday to you too, Grace. Have you seen much increase in signups after Digital Currency Summit? The promo code for the Digital Currency Summit up to this point is somewhere between, I think, 200 and 300 signups. About 50% of KYC'd. Deposits so far are, I think, maybe 20% of the KYC'd, but that is increasing. Some people do take longer to make deposits because they may be doing wire transfers. They may be doing they may be waiting for, payday, whatever. You never know what the circumstance may be. They may be waiting to transfer assets over from another exchange or maybe from a staking platform where things are, locked in, etc. But we have seen some, and the number is rising, actually. There still are people flowing in from those promo codes. In general, though, I think we saw a spike across the board. So many people probably didn't use the promo code, but still became a client. What's your hardest, toughest situation that you've had to overcome during this year's? Do you mean these years, like all years combined, or just this year? All years combined, that's a hard one to answer. I think everybody that's been here with us since the beginning knows that we've faced some trials and tribulations and hit some speed bumps, and some speed bumps that I would probably call walls. But every time we've been able to jump those speed bumps, scale those walls, or kind of run around those trials and tribulations and get to the other side. So look, there's always in a fintech business, in every startup, there's always a fire. When you combine the startup with a fintech startup, there's always two fires. When you combine fintech startup with fintech with crypto, there's always three fires. And when you combine startup with fintech with crypto with licensable activities, there's always at least 5 fires. And there's always 5 fires. You put one out, there's another one. You put 4 out, there's 4 more. There's always fires. There's always things to deal with. There's always stresses. There's always issues. And those issues come at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 in the afternoon, 2 in the morning. We're a 24/7 business. But it's what I signed up for, and I expected it. And I continue to expect it, no matter how much we grow. Obviously, we're at the point now where we're looking for mitigation tactics to automate some of that putting out of fires. And we're going to get better and better at that over time. The thing is that every business is different. We didn't have to automate so much at FXPig, but we were able to create very simple manual processes, and we mitigated lots of fires. but it's a different business. Crypto is a different business. And even in crypto, every segment of client is a bit different. So it takes time to get these things. As you get more and more clients, you get more and more data. You know, with 1,000 active clients, you get a certain amount of data. With 10,000 active clients, you get a certain amount of data. With 1 million active clients, you get the point. So I don't know if there's something that sticks in my mind. We've had, you know, issues that really sucked at the time, but we made it through. We've had issues that generally were not all that difficult to get through, but caused a lot of long-term pain. You know, so it's kind of hard to answer those questions. I think that rather than focusing on the negatives, I would say I focus on the positives and say every time we hit a problem, we get through it. And we get through it, and we're usually better for it on the other side. You all know what happened in October. We had our little intrusion incident. 2 months after that, we had this rearing of this data issue that we had 4 years ago that reared its head. I think any other company of our size at that time would have probably folded. At least 80% of companies our size, those two problems back to back would have folded. We're still here, and we're doing 1,000% better than we were. Fully recovered, on the road to becoming one of the biggest exchanges, one of the biggest fintechs, I think, in the world. And we're hitting the ground and we're running. I think that is really what we need to focus on, because there always are going to be problems. There's always going to be fires. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be those days where you're like, you know, where you question whether you should get out of bed or not. Those days happen. But the point is that we make it through every time, and we're going to continue to make it through on everything that happens, because it's almost impossible to stop bad things from happening. But as long as you have good ways to mitigate when bad things happen, you can keep on keeping on. Hey, Kevin, with the significant signups all the way from beginning January, why are the volumes not picking more up? Well, that's a good question. I guess there's a million ways to answer that one. More people doesn't necessarily mean sustainable daily volume. Why? Well, if you're a newbie to crypto, right? So your friend just showed you this article on CNBC that Bitcoin is the, you know, I don't know, best performing asset of all time, yada, yada, yada. Anthony Pompliano talking to, you know, I don't know, MSNBC saying that, you know, if you don't own Bitcoin, you're a moron or whatever, right? The guy saw something, he's getting FOMO'd, he's foaming at the mouth. He comes into CoinMetro, great platform, love the customer support. This is awesome. Puts his credit card on the table, buys a half a Bitcoin. And that's it. That's it. He just bought a Bitcoin. He's done. He's got nothing else he needs to do. He's not a trader. He's not going to, sorry guys, he's not going to necessarily keep buying Bitcoin. Maybe he does a month later, but he's not a trader, so he's not gonna be trading Bitcoin. So daily volumes, while they may see little jumps every time there's another 100 people buying, you know, half a Bitcoin or a tenth of a Bitcoin or 2 Ether, it doesn't see it. You're not going to see that every day. Not everybody's a trader. So that's one. Two, I think that our volumes have definitely increased since January on an average daily basis. Absolutely. We saw spikes in January. We saw spikes in February. But overall, the average daily volumes are moving up. And so that means that there are traders coming on board. There are traders that are incrementing volumes. That's going to continue to happen. Also, I think there are people that come on, sign up, and say, I'm definitely going to do this. But not everybody has the money available. Not everybody's ready to move forward immediately. Other people want to do more research. They want to watch price, etc. The point is that the more clients we get, it's proven that over time, volumes do increase. Simple as that. Now that CM has experience with small and large investors, which would you use for future funding if you did it? I always would like to include our clients, retail people in general, and definitely our clients in our community when we have to raise funds. I think it makes sense. I think keeping that community aspect in the brand is ultra important. I think one of the best things we've done since the beginning, since our ICO days, was creating and maintaining a fantastic community. It's not easy to do, and I think we've done fantastic at it. Doesn't mean we couldn't do better, but I think we've done fantastic. And I want to be able to include all you guys when we do fundraising, because I think you guys deserve a piece of the pie as we see more and more success. I also think that a lot of you just want to own a piece of the pie, right? You feel more connected to the community, you feel more connected to the brand, and I think that's great. I think that's awesome. There are, though, times when you raise money, for instance, raising money for a licensing effort. If we go to the regulator with 3 new shareholders, It's easy. We can show this guy put in $1 million, this guy put in $1 million, that guy put in $1 million. This is how we're funding the license. Here are their backgrounds. Here's their due diligence. Here's their fit and proper tests. We're good to go. Having 700 people that gave money is going to be a problem. So there are certain times when, unfortunately, we're restricted, or not necessarily restricted, but it would make our lives increasingly difficult and potentially could side rail some of our activities if we bring in crowdfunding. But in the future, when we do general raises for CoinMetro Group to expand marketing, to expand whatever, or simply just to set a new valuation so that as we move forward to eventually becoming a public entity, hopefully tradable on our own licensed exchange, then I see no issue, and I think it's a great thing. And I would definitely continue to look at the retail sector in general, as well as our client base. Now, guys, I have 9 minutes. I know we've been doing hour-long AMAs recently, but I only have a half an hour today because I have meetings. I will be back, though, for the AMA with Encryption at 7 p.m. Estonian time, so in 3.5 hours. And if you like, once we finish that one, we can continue with a few more questions about CoinMetro. So if you're free, come back at 7, or maybe, well, if you want to watch the Encrypt, which I say you should, because I think it's going to be interesting, but come back at 7, watch the Encryption AMA with David Coepsel, their CEO, and myself, and then come back and ask some more questions about CoinMetro once we finish, if you like. Hello, is there some fine-tuning and plan for KDA Market Maker? We have no control over them, but they are fine-tuning. They were using the REST API. We transitioned in the WebSockets. It should get better over a short period of time. And they are experimenting, I guess, just to see what the flow looks like. There's really no control. We don't have control over how they market make, but I do expect that it's going to get better and better over time, and probably much better over a very short amount of time as they transition from one protocol to another. Any caption of your intervention in the summit this week? I'm not sure I get that question. Do you mean captions as in, did someone add captions to my interview I did? I don't know, actually, but maybe somebody would be willing to get that done. I know we have our AMA summaries, so it's potential. I don't know if it exists, though, to be honest. Hey, Kevin, something off track, I guess. What's your morning routine before work? Wake up, scratch eyes, roll out of bed, wash face, brush teeth, walk through a little door, come in office. That's generally. And then at some point I realize I haven't eaten yet, or I probably should have done this, or forgot to put pants on. That one never happened, but it probably will at some point. But that's pretty much. I kind of wake up, I get the dust out of the eyes, and I'm in the office. Generally speaking, the coming secondary market for CoinMetro bonds will be in the exchange like another token. The coming secondary market for and what will happen to the interest we are getting if we exchange bonds. One, there will be a additional platform for secondary market trading. It'll be similar to our exchange, but it will be customized for securities. If you sell your bonds, you lose the interest. The person buying the bond gains the interest. You don't lose the interest you've already incurred or accrued. All you do is lose future interest. Any more bond projects on the horizon? Yes. We should see some additional bond projects in the month of March, towards the end of March. What are your thoughts about Elon Musk tweets about crypto? I said this before, the SEC was going to investigate him. Obviously, people now have said the rumor that they are. He said it's going to be fun or amazing because he wants to see, which I kind of tip my hat at Elon Musk for being as brazen, because I think it's interesting. The amount of money you have doesn't necessarily mean a thing to the SEC. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some people in there that probably think Elon Musk is a god and may, by that default, potentially treat him differently subconsciously. But I think he's going to run into some issues. He probably gets fined. I don't think he sees jail time. I don't think he may, though, run into an issue of being able to run a regulated company, which he doesn't as of right now. So probably not an issue for him. But there could be some sanctions, and I'm almost positive he will be fined, and quite a substantial amount of money, actually. Hello, Kevin. Can you please speak to Theta? A good choice. Will you be able to purchase with CoinMetro? Thank you. I haven't looked at Theta. I've been DM'd a few things about it. I will try to take a look. in the near future. We need to find, but anyway, guys, anybody out there, by the way, I've said this before, but if you have a skill set you think CoinMetro could benefit from, get in touch with us. I know some people already have, and they're kind of in the waiting of getting their applications looked at, or they're waiting on interviews, and we apologize. HR is coming. We have like ad hoc HR right now, so real HR is coming, and those things are going to be streamlined. But if you think you can help CoinMetro, you have a skill, please contact us. One of those skills, by the way, is listings. We need somebody who can take on full-time vetting and creating reports on listings, and then passing it up to me and to other people in the business, to the board, so that we can make decisions. So yeah, if there's anybody out there that thinks they could take on that task, have at it. Let us know. What is currently the monthly burn rate compared to income in February? Monthly burn still sits at about 160. Revenue in February looks like it's going to end slightly over 200,000 euro. As far as profits, don't know yet. We're still going to be in the negative this month, but I would say we're probably in the negative somewhere in the realm probably of 80K, maybe, something like that, which is a significant plus compared to where we were just 2 or 3 months ago. I expect that next month, potentially, we could actually see a small amount of profit. We'll have to see how March rolls out. Just want to say great work. I made 19 referrals and all very happy customers. Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate the referrals. And if any of those referrals are listening, Sarah's an awesome affiliate. So you picked the right one. Hey, Kevin, why does the MTF license take a whole year to go through? Well, licensing, it takes a long time. So it takes about 3 months to put together documentation. We're talking about a lot of documentation. In terms of number of pages or pieces of paper, hopefully not paper, but digital representations of paper or whatever, we're probably talking about 400 to 600 pages of documentation. And that includes background checks. That includes details on experience from all people involved. That includes all policies. That includes legal opinions. That includes business plans. Lots of different documentation needs to be created or adjusted or whatever. Once it's submitted, the regulator has to go through all that information, double check all the background checks, look for references, go through and check the business plan, check it for inaccuracies, go and ask questions back and forth. There's usually about at least three, usually 6 to 9 rounds of questions. And the questions can be 100 questions at a time. It can take the regulator a month to put together the questions, and it can take us a month to answer them. So it's just a long process that has a lot of due diligence. That's why it takes so long. Any more news on this German bank accessing? Nope, I actually got a call from a German number while we were sitting here. That could have been them. But see, I stayed with you guys, man. I picked you guys over picking up that phone call. So just hopefully you remember that. Could listings of XCM on other exchanges even be stopped? Now, we can't stop anybody from doing it, but we definitely cannot actively do it ourselves. But we can't stop other exchanges from listing us. Last few days, lots of questions about voided XCM. Can you add some FAQ to the blog about it? Yeah, we're actually, we're getting something back from our legal team as well, and that'll be added once we have it. I think I've answered a lot of people directly. Also been chatting with customer support to make sure that they refine their answers a bit to reflect reality as it is. But yes, there will be some additional information added once our legal team gets back to us. 2 minutes, guys. Hey, Kevin, let's see CoinMetro grow and expand. I was wondering if you would also consider hiring an intern. I'm currently finishing my 2nd year in IT. Absolutely. 100%. Send me a DM. Let's discuss it. How would a potential crash of crypto markets affect CoinMetro? Well, my answer would be 100% speculative, but I would say that with our community aspect and the fact that the way that our book is populated, I think a broader crypto crash would affect XCM less than it would affect the broader markets. I've already explained a bit why in the beginning, if you want to go back to maybe the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of this AMA. What do I think about BSV? I think it was a bit of a cash grab. I think the guy behind it is just a waste of time. We don't list it because there would be no volume behind it. That's why. And if there was volume behind it, it would be probably minuscule compared to the amount of blowback we would get from the every other crypto community for listing it, I think. Yeah, I don't have BSV in my portfolio, nor would I look to put it in my portfolio. With incoming XCM staking, it will require at least 5 million XCM yearly income. Is that sustainable? With incoming XCM staking, it will require at least 5 million XCM yearly income. It is sustainable once we transition from pure treasury model to a model that gets that those rewards come from actual revenue from loans, whether those loans are attached to margin trading or they're collateralized loans. So yes, it is sustainable. Okay, already answered that question. We got last question, guys. Any more news on XCM staking? Not yet, but there will be some incoming. I think within the next 10 days, you guys are gonna get a lot more news on staking. I'll take this one. How is progress with the sending out of those physical XCM? I haven't gotten to, I've been taking on some operational duties from finance. And so, yeah, up at my normal time, usually around 8 or 9 a.m., home for a bit to catch up on some work in the office, and then asleep at 4 a.m. So haven't left my house except to walk across the street twice to a supermarket since I got back from Montenegro. And if you exclude the Montenegro trip, I haven't left since I got back from Mexico. So it's been roughly 2 weeks and I haven't left the house because I haven't had time. And unfortunately, I don't really have anybody to delegate that to, unless Oliver feels like taking a walk to the post office. But we're gonna get it done, I promise. So I'm gonna have to leave it there, guys. I appreciate it as always. It is Friday. You probably can't see your friends or loved ones personally unless they live in the same house. And even then, you might be behind walls. Maybe you built a plexiglass divider between your house and you have to pass information underneath, I don't know, little holes on the floor. I don't know what you guys are doing, but spend time with friends and family. Reach out to them. Let them know you still care, that you're still there. Brighten up somebody's day. While you're brightening up their day, the best way to do that is to explain to them that had they bought XCM on January 1st, they'd be up like 15x right now. Or 12x maybe right now. So anyway, guys, have a good weekend. Buy XCM, because, and look at prices. I mean, don't look at everything else, but look at XCM. We're doing quite well. We've had a little bit of a dip, but it's a buying opportunity. Anyway, guys, see you next week. You can always tag me on Telegram if you have additional questions, or if I didn't get to your question here at Kevin Murcko. You can always tweet me on Twitter as well at Kevin Murcko. I will tweet you back. And again, in 3.5 hours, 3 hours and 28 minutes actually right now, we'll be holding another AMA. That AMA will be with the CEO of EncryptGen, David Coepsel. We'll be talking about EncryptGen, the DNA marketplace, the DNA token. You can ask all kinds of questions, and David's going to answer them because David's a smart guy, and he's going to knock it out of the park. And then afterwards, if there's some lingering CoinMetro questions, I'll handle those as well. So it's probably going to be a long night for me, even though it was probably going to be a long night already. So see you guys. If we don't talk or chat, see you guys next week here. If we do talk or chat, see you in Telegram or see you on the next AMA.